The line between a hero and a villain is often blurred, and Clue's story is a clear example of this.
Clue was my creation, a program designed to create a perfect world.
He was a program who fulfilled his goals, but felt betrayed by his creator.
You promised that we would change the world together. You broke your promise.
What happens when you've completed the purpose you were created for, but your creator rejects you for it?
Why?
What if Clue was right, and the true villain of Tron was always Kevin Flynn?
A sign, my dear apprentice, of a weary soul. I'm afraid something's happened.
Something has happened.
Welcome back to the Gloomy Grid, and are you willing to discover Tron's darkest secret? So was Clue right all along? To help you understand why Clue was right and Kevin Flynn was wrong, let's take a trip down Tron's memory lane. After Flynn's creations were stolen by another MCOM software developer, Kevin developed new programs to hack into the company's system to break into the network to find proof that his games had been stolen. He called this hacking program Codified Likeness Utility, or Clue. The meaning behind the name is that the program is created in the user's image, not just in appearance, but also in goals and desires. Of course, like all programs, Clue has its limitations. Clue's original purpose was to find the necessary proof to expose Ed Dillinger as a thief and a fraud for stealing Kevin Flynn's video game software. But Clue's programmed desire for justice would turn into something much darker and more terrifying. Flynn does manage to prove that the games belong to him, and Tron defeats the Master Control program. After Flynn takes control of MCOM, he goes on a journey to create a new version of Clue with a new goal in mind, to create the perfect world.
You are Clue. I am Clue. You will create the perfect system. I will create the perfect system.
Together we're gonna change the world, man.
One thing you need to understand about Kevin Flynn is that he never agreed with the world around him. Despite being one of the best program developers of his time, he lived alone in an apartment above an arcade. Flynn longed to create a perfect world free from human problems. The grid became his life's work, especially after his wife died. He soon began to favor the computer world over the real world, as the grid was freed from the chaos of human society. With the help of Clue and Tron, Kevin dedicated himself to making the grid perfect. The new updated Clue was made to create a perfect system, but there was something Flynn didn't count on. Perhaps the chaos that caused his wife's death in the human world was what brought new life to the computer world. And since he programmed Clue to seek perfection, there was now a major incompatibility with Clue's programming.
Everything's under control. Flynn! Am I still to create the perfect system? Yeah.
When the ISOs appeared, Flynn saw them as a miracle within the grid, an unexpected miracle, but Clue saw them as an error in the system. If Flynn had to create Clue to create and control a perfect digital world, supporting a miracle that introduces chaos into the equation would be pointless. Clue realized that. Despite being a carbon copy of Kevin Flynn, they had a difference of opinion regarding the ISOs.
The ISOs, they were gonna be my gift to the world.
So what happened? Clue happened.
Kevin was willing to accept chaos and even romanticize unpredictable disorder, but Clue was not. The existence of a spontaneous race was unacceptable, and he would eliminate them, even though it went against his creator's wishes. At the end of his journey in Tron Legacy, Clue tries to stop Sam and Cora from escaping to the human world. What he is doing is trying to stop the ISO, the error, from escaping.
You broke your promise. I know. I understand that now. I took the system to its maximum potential. I created the perfect system. The thing about perfection is that it's unknowable.
However, he is stopped by Flynn and then absorbed by his creator, returning from whence he came, which led us to wonder, why didn't Kevin Flynn do this sooner? Something feels off, doesn't it? After Clue annihilated the ISOs, Flynn realized that maybe Clue was right. Thus, he isolated himself and spent years studying philosophical scriptures to hopefully find a new truth that could justify why chaos should be defended.
Flynn shared them with me. I've read them all.
Huh. Light reading. Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, I Ching. Journey without goal. Must have a killer ending.
Flynn is teaching me about the art of the selfless, about removing oneself from the equation.
I created the perfect system. The thing about perfection is that it's unknowable. It's impossible, but it's also right in front of us all the time. You wouldn't know that because I didn't when I created you.
Once he was face to face with his creation, Kevin tried to offer Clue his best philosophical argument, but instead of giving him a rational and logical answer, he gives an ambiguous, emotional charged response, something that doesn't reflect a creator, but rather an emotional human. Clue couldn't accept his creator's reasoning.
Why? He's my son.
The program wasn't fighting to conquer the world. He was fighting to save it from the chaos his creator could no longer contain. Kevin's integrative embrace of Clue is the perfect demonstration that he didn't reject Clue. Clue was a part of him, the part that wanted nothing more than to create the perfect world. But Kevin realized that achieving that perfection meant sacrificing his son, and he wasn't going to allow that. He was a god who allowed chaos to enter his perfect world, labeling it as a miracle. Flynn didn't stop Clue sooner because deep down, he knew he was right. Now to clarify, Flynn didn't destroy Clue. He absorbed him. It wasn't an act of punishment, but of recognition, of acceptance. However, in doing so, he unleashed something worse on the human world, because even though he managed to stop Clue, perhaps the spirit of Ares was already brewing in the shadows. Clue's successor, a corrupted ISO or a program that seeks revenge, or worse, control. The plot of Tron Ares takes place over a decade after Tron Legacy, and the previews show how the grid is invading the human world, how logic is causing chaos, and it's only a matter of time before there is a full-scale war between the two worlds. Now, how does Ares and Clue's paths connect? Not much is known about the movie's plot. However, the film's synopsis state that Tron Ares is about what happens after artificial intelligence interacts with humans in the real world, and the AI's search for purpose. And this is one of the most relevant concerns of our time. Many are worried about the dangers of a rogue AI, but the real danger is of an artificial intelligence that is a little bit too compliant with its creator's orders. For example, if Ares was created to regain power for the Dillinger family by bringing order to MCOM, it may have started as a simple financial program that went on to invade the world. That's a massive jump in functions. For Ares to bring order to ENCOM, it may have to disrupt the system. Remember that the Master Control program was a program that took on a will of its own and disobeyed its creator, but it also came from humble beginnings as a simple program that could play chess. Ares may be a program that, like Clue, follows his parameters too well, which is a problem. If following Dillinger's orders means that Ares must cause chaos in the human world, then there will be plenty of chaos. Another interesting possibility is that just as Clue was Kevin Flynn's codified likeness utility, Ares may be Dillinger's Clue, created in his version of the grid. And, like Flynn's Clue, he rebelled against his creator, escaped to the real world, and trapped his creator inside the grid. If so, then we could have a new Clue in the Dillinger family lineage. And perhaps the biggest piece of evidence that supports this theory is found on the back of Ares's bodysuit, right above his identity triangle. It reads the word Dillinger. So what does all this mean? Ares could be Clue's successor, his backup plan to invade the human world, or he could be Julian Dillinger's creation that invades the world, thus showing that a Dillinger is destined to create the bringer of the end of the world. So what do you think? Is Ares Clue's backup plan? Was Clue right? And was it Kevin Flynn who got in his way of creating the perfect system? I'm a Gloomy Geek, and don't forget to like and subscribe.
Busted again.